And our first topic is the objectives for today's class is dental decay, gum diseases or periodontal diseases, and chemical digestion. So first start with the dental decay. Dental decay begins when the small holes or cavity appears in the enamel. As we studied in the previous class that enamel is the first layer of teeth, and so the dental decay happens when there are small holes appear in the enamel and the cavities are caused by bacteria on the tooth surface. So when you are consuming the food which is containing too much of sugar, for example fizzy drinks or candies or chocolates, then what happens, the bacteria they are present inside the mouth and they will attack the enamel. These bacteria feed on the sugar present on the teeth, respiring them, producing acids and dissolve the calcium salts in the tooth enamel. The enamel dissolve away in patches and exposing the dentine to the acids. Now after the enamel, the second layer was dentine. So for first the enamel get attacked, and after that the dentine get attacked. Dentine is softer than enamel and dissolve more quickly, so cavities are formed. So after enamel, dentine is formed, and there is so what happens, these cavities are being formed. The acids produced by the bacteria then irritate the nerve ending, causing the toothache. So first the dental decay damage the enamel, then after that they damage the dentine. Now on the third level they are going to damage the nerve endings, so this is the main cause of toothache. After that, if the cavities, if on the third stage we are not visiting the dentist or not doing the proper cleaning of teeth, then what happens, if the cavities are not cleaned or filled by the dentist, the bacteria will get into the pulp cavity and causes a painful abscesses of the tooth. Abscesses means the formation of pus cells. Because of the bacterial infection, the pus cells are formed in the pulp cavity and they will cause a permanent damage to teeth. The pH below which the enamel is attacked is called critical pH, between 5.5 to 6. This is the ideal pH of mouth, and if the pH is less than this because of consumption of sugary food which takes the pH of mouth to become acidic, that's why the bacteria will attack. So this is the critical pH for mouth, 5.5 to 6. So what we should do in order to avoid the dental decay or dental caries, we should visit the dentist regularly, brush your teeth with fluoride toothpaste is very important, and to maintain the good health of teeth. Now this picture you can see, this is the healthy tooth, but in the case of tooth decay caries, if this enamel and dentine is damaged in this picture, but in the case of deep decay, the enamel, dentine and also the pulp cavity which is containing the blood vessels and nerves, this is also damaged, or the roots of the teeth are also damaged. So this is the case of deep caries. You can see these patches on the skin, on the surface of the teeth in the case of children. Now second part is periodontal disease. Periodontal disease or the gum disease. What is this? There is a layer of saliva and mucus over the teeth. This layer contains bacteria that live on the food resides in the mouth, building up a coating called plaque. So on the surface of your teeth there is a layer of saliva and mucus. Whenever you are taking inside some food, some of the food resides inside your mouth cavity and some bacteria feed on that food. So they will build up a yellow color coating which is called plaque. If the plaque is not treated properly, then calcium and magnesium salts are deposited on it and forming the hard layer of tartar or calculus. Now after the plaque there is a second stage. If it is not treated or cleaned out properly, so the calcium and magnesium salt which are present in the teeth, they become deposited on the plaque and they form a hard layer which is called tartar or calculus. If the plaque is not removed, it spreads into the narrow gap between the enamel and the gum, leads to the inflammation or the swelling which is called gingivitis, which leads to the redness and the bleeding of gums and bad breath. So in the third stage, if the plaque becomes hardened, then it get to deposit between the enamel and the gum, which will lead to the inflammation or the swelling, and this disease is called gingivitis. And what this disease causes, it causes the redness and bleeding of gums, and also it is a cause of bad breath. Now in the second stage, if the gingivitis is not treated, it progresses to periodontitis. This is also another disease in which the fibers holding the teeth in the jaw are destroyed, and so the tooth become loose and falls out or has to pulled out. this is another disease. It is also a gum disease. Now, how we can prevent these diseases from occurring? Teeth should be cleaned 2 times a day. Use mouthwash and use a dental floss. Helps removing the plaque in between the three teeth. Now, in this picture, you can see in the case of plaque, there is a layer which is formed as a result of bacteria which are present on the mouth, and they reside on the remaining food particles present in the mouth. And secondly, in the case of tartar, the magnesium and calcium salt, they become deposited and they form a thick layer. This is called tartar. Now, in the case of gingivitis and periodontitis, you can see in the case of healthy gum, this gum is pinkish in color, but in the case of, if the gingivitis occur, the inflammation or the swelling of gum will occur, and this become reddish in color because the bleeding of gum will also occur. But in the case of periodontitis, the roots of the gums are damaged and the teeth will become loose and the gum will appear like this, and teeth can be removed easily or it has to be removed. Now our next topic is about chemical digestion. Previously we studied about the mechanical digestion. Now the next part is chemical digestion. So what is the difference between mechanical and chemical digestion? In the case of mechanical digestion, only the breaking down of food particles with the help of teeth will occur. But in the case of chemical digestion, many types of enzymes are involved in each part of the digestive system, and each part of digestive system is responsible for the digestion of different substances in the food. So let's look into the slide. Digestion is mainly a chemical process, and it consists of breaking down of large molecules to the small molecule. For example, you are taking in the starch in the form of breads or potatoes. It is digested at glucose. Proteins in the meat or egg are digested at amino acids. Fats are digested into soluble products called fatty acids and glycerol. The chemical breakdown occurs in 3 stages. In the case of starch, it is first converted into maltose and then glucose. Proteins are first converted into peptides and then the amino acids. First process of chemical digestion occur in the mouth. So the intake of food in the mouth is called ingestion. In the mouth, saliva mixes up the food and large particles of food are broken down into smaller one, so it has to be swallowed easily. It also increases the surface area for the enzyme work on later. So whenever a large thing is broken down into smaller pieces, that means its area is going to increase. So the enzymes have more space to be work on onto the food particle. That's why this is the first step in the process of chemical digestion. But in the mouth, mechanical digestion also occur because the food particles with the help of teeth, they are broken down into smaller particles. But in the saliva of the mouth, enzymes are also there. So the part of chemical digestion and the mechanical digestion both are working. So saliva is produced by the salivary glands which are present in the mouth, and this saliva contains enzymes called salivary amylase, which acts on the starch present in the food and convert it into the maltose. The space inside the mouth containing tongue and teeth is called buccal cavity, and beyond the buccal cavity is throat or pharynx. Our next section is swallowing. For the food to enter the esophagus, it has to first pass over the windpipe. Now, esophagus is food pipe and windpipe is trachea. So, food should go only to the esophagus, not into the trachea. So, which structure helps preventing the food from going inside to the trachea? That is epiglottis. Epiglottis is a flap of cartilage. Cartilage is basically a type of soft bone which helps which close the surface of the trachea, so the food is guided only to the esophagus. The beginning of swallowing is voluntary, but once the food reaches into the back of mouth, swallowing becomes automatic or reflex action. Now you take food with your own will, but once you are swallowing the food, everything becomes automatic or voluntary action with the help of your brain. The food moves down by the peristalsis, which is the wave-like movement that occurs through all parts of gastrointestinal system or the digestive system. Now it takes about 6 seconds for the food to reach into stomach. From esophagus to stomach, it takes about 6 seconds. Now this is the picture for the swallowing. This is the bolus of food. When the food chunk mix with the saliva, it is called bolus. Now this is the epiglottis. You can see it covers the surface of the trachea, so the food is guided only towards the esophagus. Now the next part is stomach. Next form of chemical digestion which occurs in the stomach. The stomach has elastic wall which stretches, the food collects in it. Now stomach is just like a bag, an elastic bag which can stretch, and the food resides in the stomach for a certain period of time. The pyloric sphincter is a circular band of muscle at the lower end of stomach that stops the solid pieces of food from passing through. Now food, and I will show you the picture of stomach in the next slide. The food in the stomach is mixed with the gastric acid and enzymes and changed into the creamy liquid called chyme. First it was bolus, now it is chyme, and it is a creamy liquid. First it was semi-solid. Glands in the stomach produce gastric juice containing protease enzyme which helps in the breaking down of large protein molecules into amino acids. Now inside the stomach the digestion of proteins occur. The gastric juice means the secretions or the fluid which is present, or the liquid which is present in the stomach, which is containing hydrochloric acid and also the protease enzyme. Protease is basically a protein digesting enzyme and which act on the protein molecule present in the food and they convert it into the amino acids. The acid inside the stomach helps in the working of protease enzyme and also kills many of the bacteria in the food. The peristaltic movement of stomach occurs after every 20 seconds and helps in the digestion of food. In the stomach also the peristaltic movement is occurring which helps in the digestion of food. Now this is the picture of stomach. There are two sphincter. This first one is the cardiac sphincter which is at the end of the esophagus. Now at the other one is the pyloric sphincter. This pyloric sphincter or the hole, this closes when the food is coming inside of the stomach for a certain period of time during which the digestion of protein is occurring. This sphincter will be coming close so that the food will reside, and also the enzyme, protease enzyme, and also in the presence of hydrochloric acid it is occurring and helping in the digestion of proteins, and after the digestion it will pass from the pyloric sphincter down to the small intestine. So that's all for today.